Hello, fabulous friends and fans. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of January 4th, 2015. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. Well, this week starts off with perhaps the most eventful celestial event, the most intense emotional celestial event that's going to take place pretty much all month, and that is a full moon that is activating the conversation, the long-term conversation that's been taking place between Uranus and Pluto. And so this is a full moon in the sign of Cancer, standing across Pluto in the sky and also speaking with Uranus as well. And I look at this conversation, and this is all about change. This is all about some very powerful emotions and the truth of what you feel, leading you to what the truth actually is. And I think in a lot of cases, it may end up being surprising. The answer may end up being surprising. And very often, I do think when I look at such an emotional full moon taking place, to me, this speaks to becoming aware of where we as individuals have allowed our perception to be colored, have allowed ourselves to see what it is that our fears are leading us to perceive rather than what is really there. So emotions and viewpoints and opinions even not likely to be very balanced right about now. So this is not necessarily a time to be wanting to push people's buttons. People may be a little bit extra sensitive right about now. So it's always a good idea. I am very much of the belief it's always a good idea to practice patience and kindness and all those wonderful virtues that so many people who came before us have tried to remind us is always a good way to go, and especially when we have this. But also, I wanted to say it's really an important time to be kind and patient with yourself as well. And if you have an emotional reaction, before you make it about somebody else, contemplate what else it might mean. What is this actually saying about you? Why is it that you're having the reaction that you are? And I think that will likely lead you as an individual to do some very powerful contemplation that in turn can lead to a very important shift and a very important change as well. And ultimately, I do think that the best change is that moves us in a direction that feels like it is of our conscious choice, that feels more harmonious. But sometimes to get there, we have to face these sort of moments that feel like it's a little bit stronger than ourselves. And so let those emotions come. Don't make them about anybody other than yourself. Don't project them onto anybody, and own it and strive to learn what it is saying about you, and that way you can grow beyond it and increase in terms of self-respect, in terms of maturity, and just being able to care and love that much more deeply in the world. And to give you guys a heads up, you know I always like to do that this week, in the middle of the week, right around the 6th, right after Mercury enters the sign of Aquarius, pretty much immediately enters shadow. And so on the 21st of January, we are going to have Mercury retrograding in Aquarius. So Mercury moving into Aquarius isn't just about what's happening now, but Mercury's going to be hanging out here for a little while. And so, yes, I know it may feel like we were just here, but this is what Mercury does, spends a lot of time in shadow or retrograde. And so as Mercury is starting shadow, right around the 6th, as I said, depending on where you are on the planet, pay attention to what it is that's coming up for you now, because chances are the themes that start to arise now will be returned to, especially once we get you into the month of February. So pay attention to what's taking place, where it is in your life that you're being asked to look at things or reconsider things or consider things in a new way. Maybe things that you thought a while back, oh, I don't think that's for me, is coming up again. Well, you should notice that why you said that before and where you are now and what's different now, what isn't different now. All of that will find its answers a little bit further down the road once we have Mercury return to this same place in the month of February, once Mercury goes stationary direct at the very same spot that he will be as he enters shadow this week. Mercury will change signs, move into the sign of Aquarius. So this indicates rational thought is one way to understand it, but this lends very well to seeing the other perspective, seeing another viewpoint. Now, what is also happening this week is Venus just recently moved into Aquarius. Now Mercury's moved into Aquarius, and both these planets are in the early part of the week going to be speaking in harmony with Saturn. And so I really like this, very encouraged by the fact that this is taking place at the same time as we're having lots of emotions come to the surface, because this particular conversation, the fact that Mercury and Venus speaking with Saturn is saying, be stable, look at all perspectives, be detached where it's healthy to be detached, consider other ways of interpretations as well, other modes of interpretations as well, and strive to rise beyond what might seem most visceral and most immediate. And I do also like that a lot of the conversations we'll be having, a lot of decisions based on heart that we'll be making will also be arising from this place. And I do believe that when we act not so much on automatic, but when we consider all the options as to how we can choose to go forward and then make a conscious choice as to which one truly is best for us, that's when we are really harnessing the best of what it means to be a human being, in my opinion. And so we are certainly going to be granted the opportunity to do just that. Not a very eventful week, but certainly an important week in terms of strong emotions coming up and the opportunity to transcend them as well. Well, thank you so much for watching the introduction, and I thank you so much for being here. I love your interactions. Please do keep them coming. Find me, interact with me, Facebook, Twitter, Google+. Of course, my website, nadiyashah.com, and the YouTube comments, of course, as well. Love listening to what you guys have to say, and thank you so much for the positive energy you send my way, the amazing questions you send my way as well. If you have questions that are a little bit more personal, that have to do with what's happening in your unique birth chart, in your life, please do consider personalized horoscopes where I can do just that. But of course, I truly am so grateful that you are here to celebrate your lives. And my hope always with these videos is that they infuse your life with some inspiration, some hope, just the omen that you need to remind you that the universe is wise and loving, which really is the basis of everything I do. Everything I do is to affirm that in the world. So thank you so much for being here and being a part of it. Well, how all this lovely celestial stuff and celestial events speak to you in your sign is coming up right now. Hello, fabulous Aries. This week we have this powerful moon taking place right at the bottom of your chart, speaking with Uranus in your sign. And that does denote changes on the home front, whether it's your parents that all of a sudden need your attention, or it is your actual living space that's asking for your attention as well. Very much a possibility. Now, here's the thing. Home might not feel like the most predictable space. You're going to be asked to rise above a given situation, decide how it is that change can positively take place. And what I really like is it is going to be friends and friendships in particular that help sort of set your mind right. If you are one of those Aries, some of you out there might end up feeling a little bit overwhelmed. Don't worry about it. Talk it out. Share. And a friend is really going to bring that needed boost of stability that you very much need to help you navigate this time so that you can move to a deeper understanding of what home means to you and what safety and security and giving that to yourself is going to mean to you as well. Hello, fabulous Taurus. This week we have got your ruling planet speaking with Saturn right at the very top of your chart. So this is really about your career, on the one hand, coming into focus, and at the same time, understanding what you can do, what changes need to happen, what specifically situation might need to end if you're going to move yourself in a positive career direction. You add to this the fact that, you know, I got to say this amazing full moon that's taking place is happening in a part of the sky for you that has to do with your relationship to your neighbors, siblings, and cousins. So where that situation applies, I mean, unless you live like way out in the middle of nowhere, you got no family, that's okay too. However, if you have any of these people as part of your life, you can expect them to act a little bit unpredictably, and just sort of let it slide off your shoulders. Let them do what they need to. It seems like a little bit of a spike, and then all things will return to normal fairly quickly as well. Hello, fabulous Gemini. This week we have got this powerful, really. Full moon happening in a part of sky for you that has to do with money. It has to do with finances, and you can expect a little bit of a question, if you will, because it does look like a part of you is saying, oh goodness, what's happening with my money? What's happening with my spending? What's happening with my earnings? And some financial change may come about. But here's the thing. It does look like your life is moving in a really empowered direction. It does look like it's a spouse or it is a partner of sorts who emerges and reminds you of the higher vision that you have for your life, of what it is that you really want to do that's going to help move your life in a direction of what you truly desire to manifest. And so you're going to actually need that. So connect with people one-on-one when it feels like the money is sort of unpredictable. Don't worry about it. It's just an energy. It's going to pass. But if you allow yourself to rise above it, then you will not only manage the current situation very nicely, but you'll go beyond sort of like day job, do what I got to do mode, and remember the bigger picture. And that in turn just infuses your life with faith and purpose and actually moves you in a very positive direction. Hello, fabulous Cancer. Well, it's a full moon in your sign, a full moon taking place in your sign. Such an important moment for you, moment of honesty that's been a long time coming, and it's you that's ready to make a change. In some cases, powerfully so. You are ready for things to be different in your life, and wherever it is that you haven't acknowledged where things got to change, now you will. It is a really important time overall for Cancers because this is a time when you in some way are letting go of the past so that you can embrace something new as well that's coming up. However, more than anything, I do think that this is a time of fruition, a time of culmination, a time of self-honesty as well. So let the truth out. Let the truth come to light. For some people, it'll be a process that feels inspired. For others, a little uncomfortable. But all in all, you'll be glad for what comes forward because it's going to help you to transform what needs to change and release what you no longer need so that you can move towards a life that feels a lot more authentic and a lot more genuine to who you really are. Hello, fabulous Leo. This week we have got Venus and Mercury in your opposite sign, sort of setting the stage for a long-term cycle, if you will. Really starting this month and into next month, as I spoke about in the January videos, all this energy is going to start building in your opposite sign. So it starts to become about love. And for you, there's an element here of wanting something stable, wanting something secure. And I do think that there's a decision being made now in the context of love and partnership. And so if you are somebody who has not been with somebody or is not with somebody now, you are going to realize what you need to do to move yourself in a direction of experiencing greater connections and putting yourself out there a little bit more. If you are in a bond, this is you making a decision as to how the two of you are going to go forward. So big decision time in the realm of partnership. And don't discount karma. I got to say, don't discount karma because you've got this full moon happening in the sign just before yours, which suggests to me that what closes now has a strong karmic feel to it. Like you understand it's over. You understand it served its karmic purpose in your life. And on some level deep within, you know you're preparing for bigger and better. And you certainly are. Not only because there will be a full moon in your sign 4 weeks down the road, but also because we've got all this energy building in your opposite sign. People are going to become increasingly important to you starting right now and in the weeks ahead. Hello, fabulous Virgo. This week we have got your ruling planet, Virgo, changing signs, moving into a part of the sky that has to do with really where you are at home, if you will. It has to do with the part of the sky that takes advantage of the day, makes full use of the day, and work. It's got to do with work as well. And I do think that you will be working hard starting about now and should hear some news that allows you to feel a sense of stability in the workplace. Now, those of you who have a home-based business, this is a really good time where you're going to attract clients. Those of you who are not necessarily home-based, if you will, still are going to find a measure of safety and security that sets in thanks to some job opportunities that seem to be coming up for you. This is also a really good time to begin to think about what you can do to experience a greater sense of health in the big picture. It's not a great time to sort of like say, okay, that's it. I quit. I'm done with this. No more carbs. It's not that best time, but it is a really good time to think, okay, how can I add a little bit more? How can I make small changes that will lead me to right direction so that 5 years from now I feel better, 10 years from now I feel better? If you have the big picture in mind, you'll make the most and the best use of the day, which really is one of those lessons that you're here to learn as part of your higher calling, as part of your higher purpose, to take full advantage of the day and make sure that it is well used and you spend some time doing the things that you want to be really good at. You're going to get that opportunity now. And if you take advantage of it, you will find your life moving in a very positive direction. Hello, fabulous Libra. This week we have got this powerful full moon happening at the very top of your chart. It is a time when you are thinking big picture, thinking about your career, thinking about life purpose, thinking about achievement as well. And this is a time when some culmination in these areas is likely indicated. So maybe one path that you've been following, you thought that this was it for you. You realize, no, that's not the way the universe needs you to walk anymore. For others of you, this is going to be an achievement, but then there's also going to be this feeling, it does look like this feeling of what's next or what's new or am I really satisfied with this? Take advantage of whatever success comes and enjoy it. That's going to be one key thing. You know, I was recently reminded, hearing a personal story, of how important it is if something is happening in your life that you want to experience more of, you've got to make sure that you are putting positive feelings behind it. Absolutely positive feelings. So that it's not that you are attaching something negative or you're focusing in on the parts that are less than ideal. I actually was reminded of this. I remember Louise Hay, lots of people have read her amazing book, You Can Heal Your Life. And in this book, she talks about how her first speaking engagements, no matter what happened, when she'd get off the stage, she'd talk to herself and say, you did such a great job. That was so good. You're such a great speaker. And she would do that for herself in the immediacy before she went on to critique herself a little bit more deeply, maybe the next day or the day after. And really, that is sort of the kind of moment I see happening for you, that there is going to be a moment of achievement this week. It does look near and dear to the heart. Don't get caught up in what is less than ideal. Instead, affirm. Use your will and your attention to affirm what is awesome about what took place. And then later on down the road, you can learn from it. If it was less than ideal, you can actually learn from it and begin to apply strategies to move yourself positively forward. And you actually are going to be so amazing at that. Be so amazing at being able to look at things from a detached perspective. But first comes the love. First comes the self-acceptance, and first comes the absolute commitment to celebration. Hello, fabulous Scorpio. This week we've got a full moon happening in a part of the sky for you that has to do with the things that you put into place so that you can manifest what you most desire later on down the road. It has to do with earning credentials, but it also has to do with exploration, figuring out what you really do want to manifest as well. And I do think that there's going to be some Scorpios out there who sort of find themselves in a place where they're like, oh, wow, I've been going about this all wrong. Or they may be saying to themselves, I thought this was what I was supposed to do to get where I want, but actually it's got to be a little bit different. And this is actually really great. And this is actually really valuable as well, because this is information that's going to help you refine your road. And it does look like one piece of that puzzle sort of comes to a close. And so one thing that you had been doing now comes to a close, and you start to consider what could be next. For some of you, this is going to be an educational process, I got to say. And so for some of you, it looks like there may be some changes in terms of your higher education, whether it's your curriculum, classes that need to be changed, or even your major changing. Really, you are understanding where you're going differently, and that in turn is going to alter the things that you're doing in the immediacy on your path as well. Also, there's an element here of knowing when you're done, knowing when you're done with an adventure. And that's the best way to put it. So if you're a person who's been really fascinated by a place or really engaged in a process of learning a philosophy, this is when you understand the purpose of it and what now needs to evolve. It may be that you want to go deeper and further into your studies or your understanding, or it may be that you're ready for a dramatic change as well. But it does look like your relationship to places and ideas is also going to go through a metamorphosis that ultimately comes down to you being honest about with yourself about where it is that you now need something different. Hello, fabulous Sagittarius. This week we have got this buildup of energy happening in a part of the sky for you that has to do with sort of our random interactions, if you will. And at the same time, we have this very powerful full moon taking place in a part of the sky for you that has to do with money. It has to do with the money, not necessarily the money that you're earning, but it has to do with other people's money, as it's called in astrology. So, or some have called it rather. So it has to do with things like grants, loans, bursaries, insurance payments, benefits, inheritances, tax returns, that type of thing. And so it does look like this type of money, if you will, sort of comes to your attention. And so either you're scrambling to fill out a form, trying to get things put together. Maybe there's been some errors or something as well, and you've got to figure it all out. And we've got this buildup of energy happening in a part of the sky that has to do with agreements as well. So it has to do with random interactions, it has to do with agreements, contracts to a certain extent. And so when I look at this and I look at this full moon, I just think that, you know, if you're expecting some kind of loan or grant to come through, there may be more paperwork that needs to be filled out. There may be a signature that needs to happen as well. And so just keep all that in mind. Also keep in mind, though, that we are now in the middle of the week entering shadow. So we enter shadow in the middle of the week for Mercury, and later this month Mercury will go retrograde in this part of the sky as well. And so it does look like any agreements, if it looks like any agreements come up, especially right after the 6th or so, depending on where you are on the planet, know that you probably will have to return to them. There may be some more ironing out of details to take place. Don't worry about it. Do your best with what's in front of you and surrender the rest. Always, always good advice. But it does look like you're dealing with money, and it does look like in some way some money is trying to find you. So if there are any details that need to be taken care of, just do it. Don't worry about it, and that money will come exactly when it's supposed to. Hello, fabulous Capricorn. Well, we've got this full moon happening in your opposite sign. Really important in the context of partnership, in the context of love as well. And so those of you who are open to love, there is going to be somebody there to help you learn some of these lessons. I spoke about this at length also in the January horoscope. So you may want to have a look at that, the love-focused horoscope. But what an important time for you to understand where you are in love, why you are there in love, and what has got to change if you are going to move yourself in a direction of the type of love that you desire. And if you are in an established bond, also, who are you with? Why are you with them? This is about you getting really honest with yourself, and where you like the answer, enforce it. Where you're not crazy about the answer, being mindful of that as well, and understanding what needs to change, whether it's within you or the other person. And I gotta say, more often than not, it's you, but also being honest with yourself. Ultimately, what motivates you to be with this person? If it's a genuine desire to love and to know mutual respect, then that's good. If there's anything else that's there, you should get honest with yourself as part of your process of moving towards greater love and greater wisdom as well, of course. Hello, fabulous Aquarius. This week we've got this full moon taking place that is speaking with your ruling planet, Uranus. You add to the fact that we've got this buildup of energy beginning to happen in your sign. And really, throughout the month, we're slowly going to have this buildup of energy. And I spoke about this at length in the monthly horoscopes. Really, this month and next, such an important time for you. Additionally, we have Mercury going into shadow in the middle of the month in your sign as well. So Mercury enters your sign and then almost immediately goes into shadow. So you put all this together and it suggests a really important time starting for you, where you're getting clear on who you are and what you really want and what you're going to pay attention to. This can really set off an amazingly productive time where you are clear. This is the direction I'm going in. This is what I got to do, and actually doing it. And you've got that right mix of vision and intuition. Saturn really helping you along in this process, speaking to those planets. This is when Saturn helps you. Saturn as your ancient ruling planet, your traditional ruler, helping you along in this process as well, by helping you to see the future of your current actions. And from that place, being really honest with yourself about what you've got to do right now to move yourself in a desired direction. Really important week. Really important choices being made now, important decisions being made now that will ultimately lead you to a life that feels stable, that feels calm, and that leads to a sense of really achievement, which is ultimately a type of self-respect. That commitment that solidifies within you now is truly something very precious that should be nurtured and held on to. Hello, fabulous Pisces. This week we have got this powerful full moon happening in a part of the sky that has to do with romance. Yes, it has to do with fertility as well, and creativity as well. And so when I look at this energy happening early in the week for you, I mean, for some of you, I gotta say, this is a really fertile time. And it's almost like I'm seeing for some of you like an inconvenient fertility. So just be mindful of that. Make sure that if you want children, this is awesome. If not, you're gonna wanna take some precautions. However, also, as I said, there's an element here that has to do with creativity and romance as well. And so this does look like romantic experiences and creative experiences personally, sort of bringing an awareness to you, an awareness of who you really are and what you really feel and what it is that you really enjoy. It's an element of getting in touch with your intuition and learning that you can trust yourself. So as part of this, some of you may attract a romance. How likely it is to stick around is a little bit up in the air at the moment, but there is some supportive energy for that. But because this is a full moon, it represents culmination. This is more about understanding what was so that you can put it behind you comfortably and decide what direction you're going to go forward in. And this is also about you sort of deciding where it is that you want to nurture good feelings, nurture your creativity, what it is ultimately that is worth giving your attention to, that's going to help you feel well used in this lifetime. So honor what is fun for you. Honor what it is that is desiring to come to fruition within you. Give it some of your time, and you can find this an exciting time when creative projects really come to a good point of reaching a level of fruition and reaching a level where you feel ready to share them with a wider audience as well. Well, thank you so much to all signs out there. It'll be a great week. Enjoy.